Greetings all, Ferrari601 here. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and welcome to Barcelona with RSS Formula Hybrid 2019 version 2. Yes, RSS releasing a slightly updated version of Formula Hybrid 2019 a little bit earlier today, my time, relative to recording this. What have we got different in this car? Well, most of the changes are well and truly under the skin. These are things that are not going to be readily apparent. I'm led to believe that quite a few of the modifications have been made for ease of access for skin painters. I know that they've added a few more map areas so that people could put their logos on the front suspension elements, for example, things like that. So those of you who are in the modding community and you're looking to make skins for this car, your job, I think, just got a little bit easier. As far as the driving side is concerned, there aren't too many changes. However, we have gotten a few updates to the dampers on this car, and it does change a little bit in terms of the car's overall attitude, how it's performing, what it feels like, the sort of feedback that it's giving you. So I just want to parse this a little bit and show you what's going on with this. Back into the pits, you can see that I have done a colossal amount of testing here at Barcelona in this car, and I've got quite a few different setups running here, some baselines, some all-out bonsai attack hot lap setups, and I've also got a couple for version 2, namely this one. All of my setups, they are derivatives of each other as I've started to learn more about the car and played with it a little bit more as we have had about a month now to deal with it. So I've learned a bit. There is still a lot more to learn. And of course, those of you who've been watching the channel, you've been seeing already the hot lap attacks that I've been doing here at Barcelona. So I've learned a lot. There's still a lot more to go in terms of really getting to the ultimate performance level, but I feel like I'm getting there. Not quite yet, but close enough. So, therefore, I think I'm in a reasonable position to be able to talk to you about the differences in version 2 versus version 1. And of course, those of you who have purchased this car, you will get an email, if you have not done so already, from Racing Studio to the inbox with which you registered to purchase the car, and you'll get a free download link to update the car to version 2. You do not have to purchase it again, just want to make that clear. But as you can see, we don't have anything that's added to the setup in terms of options, in terms of adjustments that we have here. Those of you who have been watching my hot lap attack here, you're probably quite interested in what I'm doing with the drivetrain and the suspension. So there it is, the drivetrain. We have opened the differential up pretty much as far as it'll go, 5% power and coast, and then the preload is 17 Newton meters. That's slightly more locked up than it absolutely could be, but I'm finding that when I open it up even more, I start to get a little bit too much rear instability, and you start to lose time again. So this is where I'm sitting with the differential on this car, and that's pretty much the major contributing factor to getting this thing into the low 116s and even mid 115s around here. In terms of the suspension, the alignment adjustments that we have on all four corners, they haven't been changed in terms of the range of adjustments, I'm led to believe. It's just the overall stiffness of the dampers, both in roll as well as in heave. And in particular, as we get the car out on track, the heave dampers, they feel a bit softer, they feel a bit more compliant. Those of you who have been running in this car a bit, you may have noticed that it had a tendency to bounce a little bit over the really severe curbing as well as over any sorts of corrugated bumps in the track surface. That's been calmed down quite a bit. So again, let's just get the thing out here and kind of parse what's going on. I have done a longish run in it so far just to shake it down a little bit and make sure that everything is still okay, but we're going to put quite a bit of fuel on board and just sort of figure out what's what here. In the cockpit, nothing has changed, and there really are no visual updates apart from the different skin maps that have been added for the benefit of the painters. But everything as far as the driving perspective, everything in terms of what you see in the cockpit, the instrumentation available to you, there's not really anything different going on here. So you're all quite well acquainted with this view already. For our purposes here, pedals in the lower left, and we'll go out and get this thing up to temperature. Gotta be careful here because the tires are absolutely cold. And this here on the steering wheel, this is page 2 of the display. This is showing us our tire pressures, indicating in pounds per square inch. All the other instrumentation here is going to be in metric. So again, very slow, very deliberate, just getting heat into the tires and brakes. We won't use DRS here quite yet. Just getting the car happy in terms of where it is. Tires starting to switch on. Had 40 liters of fuel from the pit lane down to 38.7 or so. And we can get our hybrid system up and running. And now we'll take DRS down start to finish to start our first proper lap. Tire pressure's coming up into the sweet spot. When this car was released, RSS were pretty adamant in telling us that the tires were happy at 21 PSI specifically. Not 20, not 22, 21. So that is where they are now for the most part. The front left there already a little bit too hot in terms of the pressure. Tire temperature should be okay. And as we start to really build temperature, and now that our speeds are up, you can feel the car starting to hunker down, especially through turn 8 there, the absolutely flat out right-hander in this car. Took me actually a couple of years of driving the Formula Hybrid Series to be able to take that corner flat out. It happened straight away in this car, but I couldn't do it in the 2017 car until this one came out. And the family resemblance, of course, now with this being the third iteration of Formula Hybrid, only now do I have the confidence in the first one, the 2017 car, to be able to take that corner flat out. But no matter, 118.7 is our first flying lap, and again with nigh on 40 liters of fuel on board. That is pretty respectable, I would gather. Of course, we don't have the ultimate flat-out speed here because of the added weight in fuel. But you'll notice, as we're going through these high-speed corners, and even, for example, through here, a medium-speed corner, the car is a lot more stable, provided that you don't give it too much right-hand pedal there, as I did. It's not bouncing around as much. It does definitely feel more compliant, more tractable. It rides the curbs a little bit better. It's not getting bounced into the air over that inside curb. It's quite nice, I must say. You're here. Try to stay away from that inside curve for that long right-hander if you can. Then here, pitch it in, get on the power full throttle, third gear, go wide on the entrance, and then clip the apices as you dare. Full power, totally flat out, final corner, no problem. 118.21. Going real deep into turn 1 there, using all of the approach curbing. And then flat out through turn 3. Keep it to the apex as long as reasonable. You don't want to keep it there too long because then you're just scrubbing off speed. But to the mid part of the corner, if you keep it inside, you're actually shortening the distance that you have to travel, which of course is going to gain you some time. You're here using most of the exit curb, even onto the AstroTurf. Through here, use a lot of the AstroTurf on that second apex, turning right, and of course, turn 8, just hold on. We're running on the super soft tires, the C5 compound. Rear end starts to get a little bit squirrely there. We lost all of our time. Again, that's something that you can play with your energy harvest on the MGUK. If you are looking to fine-tune the rear balance. Brake bias only goes so far in terms of trying to rectify that lateral weight transfer across the rear axle. That's more so governed by the MG UK harvest. We're running at 100% harvest right now. When I'm on a real flyer, I'll crank it down to 80%, but with this latest update, I'm actually finding that 100% harvest almost gives the car a rear brake as you're going into medium and high-speed corners, and it actually makes the front end more stable, if that makes any sense at all. It sort of reminds me of what McLaren were doing in 1997 with the third pedal in the cockpit. That was not a clutch, it was a rear-only brake, and it gave them better stability through the longer corners. And obviously the FIA said, well, no, you can't do that, we have to ban it, like they always say. But sort of emulating that with the MG UK regen in this car. Little bit of lazy understeer there. Again, we are pretty heavy on fuel. How's our tires doing? Tire pressures, yeah, a little high. Not too bad. My fault, got onto the power a little bit too optimistically. Now fourth gear, just lay into the gas mid-corner and then it just grips. You can use the downforce to your advantage, you can use those huge rear tires to your advantage as well. And through here, as the downforce goes away and you get a lot of weight transfer, both laterally and longitudinally. It's a very tricky corner because of the lower speed, and of course it's a tight corner as well, 90 degrees to the left. And through here, again, just feel it out. I drive the car off with the front axle through here, and then through the medium and high speed stuff like through here, it's all dictated by rear stability. There we go, we're happy. Tire pressures, there we go, around 21, 22, 23 PSI even. So again, we're around the RSS endorsed sweet spot for these tires. Little bit of a tank slapper trying to set in there. We were in third gear rather than fourth, getting hard on the power. More torque. Of course, you'll get wheel spin. Here, hit the brakes a little bit too early. Trying to get away from me a little bit there. This lap's going to be almost identical to our previous. There it is. We are out of electricity. We got to do some regen. That was what, 5-6 laps in hot lap mode before it finally gave up. It's pretty good. And you can see about half a lap we've already given away 2 seconds simply by turning off the hybrid systems. That's what it's worth. It's about 4.5 seconds a lap. them back on. So about 1 lap to regen, what amounts to be about 5-6 laps worth of electrical boost juice. I'll take it. And that's with turning everything off entirely and going to max harvest. Of course, you can fine-tune all of that depending on what you actually want to achieve. Slow left-hander at the end of the infield straight. That is challenging, just in terms of what the low-speed weight distribution does as it transfers across the rear axle in particular. But still in the 17s, barely. I'll take it. Does go to show you the car is consistent, and despite all the corrections you're seeing me make, and of course running very wide here, the car does feel very tractable, a little bit more tractable than it had done in version 1. As I said in the pits, it feels a lot more supple, especially in heave. It's not so abrupt anymore. You get a sense of the weight of the car a little bit more. These modern Formula 1 cars, in comparison to what we had in the mid-2000s, for example, they are about 150 kilograms heavier. So you notice the weight more, and you would expect the heavier a car gets, the slower it is to react over all axes, not just in terms of accelerating, braking, and turning. You definitely get more of a sense of the overall weight of the car in this newer version, and it just feels more convincing. It behaves more like you would expect a car of this size and this weight to behave. Going to the C5s, we're not going to put any fuel on board. We'll lower our tire pressures just a touch. Tires, of course, no blankets, I'm just not running them. Gotta get everything up to temp. Not too aggressively though, because then they'll just grain them off to hell. Left in the tank. Hot lap mode. Let's wind up, and off we go. For those of you who are wondering, how do I switch between the pages on the display? I know a lot of people have asked this question. The way you do it is you assign a button on your steering wheel or on your keyboard or whatever it is that you're using to drive. You assign a button to the headlights, and then you hit it when you want to switch pages. It is mapped to the headlight function. a little bit too optimistic there. Just cut this corner a little bit. Try not to fall into the red too far. Go. Best lap of the session, even though it was quite scruffy. But all in all, especially through this high-speed corner here, it does not hunt around, it's not shaking, it's not vibrating, it's just gripping. And through here as well, lots and lots and lots of stability on the rear axle, provided that you control your optimism with the loud pedal. And in most cases, and this is somewhat of a rarity for me, you only have to turn the wheel once to get into and out of a corner. Pretty good. Of course, we're running out of electricity here. But all in all, I must say, absolutely 100% unequivocally sold. It has been an absolutely great car since it first came out about a month ago, and now with this very gentle update, it's gotten even better. It's more tractable, it's more accessible, it's not quite as unpredictable. I remember my first shakedown in this car, it initially surprised me with how twitchy it was at the rear. I was expecting it to be utterly planted, and when you learn it, when you do start to play, particularly with the differential settings, as we mentioned, yes, it does get a whole lot more predictable, more tractable, and it is really planted to the tarmac, again, provided that you respect the ultimate limit of what's going on. But here, it is all the more stable, it is all the more accessible, all the more approachable, and again, like we said in the review, it is really a fantastic addition to Assetto Corsa, and of course now it's, again, about a month old. We have had the chance to play with it quite a bit, but it continues to fail to disappoint. It is absolutely fantastic, and of course you're going to continue to see a lot of this car in the coming days and weeks on Ferrari Man 601 because, well, it is the most representative mod of a 2019 Formula 1 car. So there it is, version 2 of RSS Formula Hybrid 2019, a gentle update, some utilitarian things for the modding community, and a couple of small tweaks for us on the driving side. Again, the dampers, they've been updated a bit, a little bit more compliant, a little bit softer, and in general, I think that it's really contributed to the overall tractability and accessibility of the car, which will hopefully help us in our efforts to lower the world record on assorted racetracks. So, hopefully all of you enjoyed that one. Ferrari Man 601 saying thank you very much for watching, and of course, we will see you soon.